Look, let's be honest. If you've been following this channel or any other channel that talks about Brexit, well, if you are following a channel that is telling the truth about Brexit, then you know full well that Brexit is not working. That the grand promises that Brexit was meant to deliver, how wonderful all this global Britain would be, that now we were out there being this fantastic trading nation, getting all these wonderful trade deals, which of course have turned out to be, well, absolutely worthless. And in case of the Australian trade deal, literally written on the back of bog paper. I am not making that up. That is an actual thing that happened. Go look that up. We did a video about it. It boggles the mind. But again, that was Boris Johnson. Chaos in Downing Street, etc., etc., etc. However, ever since 2016, and even during 2016, people like myself who have been pro EU, who are part of the Remain campaign and have since then been pro rejoin, we have been saying time and time again, there is serious damage by us not being in the EU. And the big reason the Brexiteers gave this is said, oh, don't worry, because, all the damage in trade with Europe, that'll be replaced by non-European countries. But that has not happened because we said distance in trade matters. Always, distance in trade matters every single time. The Brexiteers ignored it because, oh, don't worry, we can get a trade deal with Mexico, which is, again, thousands of miles away. Or we can get a trade deal with Australia and New Zealand. And, oh, look, we'll get one with India. Well, India said in return, sorry, we're not going to be an imperial bazaar for you. And has this mythical Indian trade deal materialized? No. Because if you know anything about India, and of course its history or its recent history of trade deals, it is incredibly protectionist. It has a policy of self-sustainment. No country in the world has managed to sign a full trade deal with India, a proper free trade agreement. They've all been either partial agreements or stuff in certain areas. So they've never gone full whack to sign these full trade agreements. That's just, once again, the reality that Brexiteers have refused to admit. And the fact that us, as an economy, we don't make stuff. We are not a manufacturing superpower. We are a service superpower, meaning that we sell services. 80% of our economy is based on the service industry. Guess who needs the service industry more? That would be advanced economies. So bear in mind, most of the advanced economies are in the European Union. The only ones that are outside that would buy, of course, our services are Canada, America, Israel, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and that's about it. That's it. That's your area for where suddenly now 80% of our economy has to turn. And even the much vaunted trade deal being sold by the Brexiteers as one of the many reasons why it would be foolish to make us look staying in the single market and customs union if we get this fantastic American trade deal, which again, of course, never materialized. Even under Donald Trump would have never have materialized. It just never, ever happened. But we had Sadiq Khan, Mayor of London, come out yesterday and say, hey, Brexit isn't working. That this hardline Brexit that we have been delivered, which always worth reminding people was not what was promised by the Leave campaign. They promised a very, very soft Brexit. Heck, the Brexit deal that they rebelled against was under Theresa May was actually a lot harsher Brexit and a lot harder form of Brexit than the one they advocated for during the 2016 referendum campaign. And now we have been pushed ever further by these Brexit zealots, these free market fundamentalists who have been determined to completely get rid of all regulation, not just EU regulation, but UK regulation as well. One of the big things that we saw, of course, in certainly the lead up to 2020, when we would finally leave the EU, was the fact that these organizations that were responsible for regulations and sort of the personnel that staffed them, we all paid into sort of one pot so that we all had a regulatory body that would sort of, cover us all. The big problem now is that we're out of that. Those regulatory bodies got folded away into ministerial departments, and those bodies never became fully staffed. Still a big problem, and of course, still not fully funded, so that they cannot effectively do their jobs. You want a perfect example? Look at the sewage spills that are constantly happening throughout the UK. I know there's always people, oh, but Scotland's put. No, Scotland isn't. Scotland is getting steadily worse. Because again, you are not having these regulatory bodies go out there being, fully staffed and as funded as they once were when we were in the EU to be able to do that. But then, of course, economically, according to Sadiq Khan and this new research that he has had published, we are at least so yes, we are our economy is 140 billion smaller. So we have lost out on 140 billion because of Brexit. London's economy itself is 30 billion smaller. That is massive. It is driving up the cost of living. This is something else that we should be talking about because it is having an impact on the cost of living because, goods to and from Europe are now more expensive. They're our closest trading partner. It is having an impact on the cost of living crisis. The Conservatives and, of course, the Brexiteers will deny it. But we have, of course, potentially an upcoming Labour government who said we are going to pursue closer ties. Now, we still don't know what that is going to be, whether it is going to be Keir Starmer doing sort of alignment agreements or sort of signing individual deals. That is not beyond the realms of possibility. The EU has said that it would be open to that. But as I've said before, the next parliament is going to have a lot less Brexiteers, and we are probably going to see more conversations about the impact that Brexit has had on the UK than we have had in this parliament, because they just haven't wanted to talk about it, because of course it has been a key sort of Conservative platform. It has been their albatross. We did Brexit. Look at it. Look at how wonderful it is. And like, oh no, this albatross is now starting to go off a bit. Then of course they can't take it off because they're still, of course, the party that delivered Brexit. Brexit was their magnificent brainchild. And one of the things that has come up very often in bits and pieces of conversation, even I have said this as well, I would not be surprised if the Conservative Party themselves were eventually to turn on Brexit and become pro-European. It is not beyond the realms of possibility of that happening. Would be hilarious, of course, to see what would happen and how they would go on that journey. But trust me, with an upcoming, Conservative civil war on the horizon, hey, anything's to play for. And especially when you've got a lot of businesses who help to fund the Conservative Party who are going, hey, Conservative Party, we really want better trade links with Europe, better regulatory sort of access, better, better regulatory bodies so that we can sort of match them all. Of course, that creates problems, etc. One of the big reasons why we joined the beginnings of what would become the European Union was because of UK businesses telling the Conservatives, hey, we need access. We need into that European market. That has not changed. Businesses are growing ever and ever louder that we want access into the EU. So, hey, it could happen. It's a very real possibility of happening. So, as always, thank you so much again for watching. Let me know what you think to Sadiq Khan's comments, what he said about Brexit isn't working. Do you think that there will be more conversations, maybe even this year, about Brexit? Um, who knows? It would be very, very interesting. But something which pro-EU campaigners should, if we go into a general election, should start targeting MPs and going to hustings and start asking questions about the impact that Brexit has had on their area. So just a little thought, guys, something you should be thinking about for an upcoming general election. So, as always, thank you very much, of course, for watching, and of course, we'll see you all next time.